You ever finish a book and just get that feeling, that nagging sense that there was a whole other layer of meaning you didn't quite catch? Yeah, you're not alone. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the two essential tools that literary detectives use to see what's really going on beneath the surface of a story. And to get us started, let's think about a real heavyweight, Shakespeare's Hamlet. I mean, this story was written over 400 years ago. So why are we still talking about it? How is it still this powerful masterpiece? Well, the answer isn't just, oh, it's a good story. The real secret lies in how we analyze it, using these two key tools, literary criticism and literary theory.
Okay, so our first tool is the one that really likes to get its hands dirty. This is literary criticism. You can think of it as the practical, roll-up-your-sleeves work of taking a story apart just to see how it ticks. At its heart, criticism is all about asking very specific questions about one particular book. What does this text actually mean? How did the author create that feeling of suspense on page 50? And maybe most importantly, did it work? It's really the art of looking super closely at the words on the page. A critic is basically a literary detective, right? They're on the hunt for clues. They're looking at the plot structure, the specific words the author chooses, the style, any recurring themes. They're digging into the character's motivations and even the social or historical world the book was born into. It's all evidence. But why do all that work? Well, the goal is to build a much deeper, much richer understanding of the text. So if we go back to Hamlet, a critic might zero in on the language in his famous speeches to argue exactly why it's a tragic masterpiece. Criticism is how you find the proof to back up your interpretation. So if criticism is the hands-on analysis of one book, what's our other tool? Well, now we zoom out. We're going to move away from the specific text and look at the big ideas that shape how we even approach reading in the first place. And that is literary theory. Theory is way less about one single book and way more about the whole framework we use to understand all books. It's the set of guiding philosophies we bring with us before we even open to page one. It's the big picture thinking that happens before the close reading. And there are a ton of these frameworks out there. You've got things like feminism, Marxism, psychoanalysis. You get the idea. Now, each one of these offers a completely different starting point for how to read a text. The goal isn't to find the one true meaning, but to explore all the different fascinating meanings you can find from different perspectives. Honestly, the absolute best way to get your head around theory is to think of it like a pair of glasses. Each theory is a different lens. If you pop on the Marxist lenses, all of a sudden you'll start seeing class conflict and economic forces everywhere in the story. Then switch to the feminist lenses, and boom, you're now focused on gender roles and power dynamics. The book itself doesn't change, but what you see in it changes completely. Let's bring this right back to Hamlet again. If we apply that Marxist lens, the play is suddenly not just about a sad prince who wants revenge. Nope. Now it's a story about a ruling class desperately trying to hold on to its power. It's about the deep conflicts between the aristocracy and everyone else. Same play, but a totally different story comes into focus. Okay, so we've looked at them one by one. Now let's put them right next to each other. This is where it all clicks into place. If you want the simplest breakdown possible, here it is. Theory is the why. It asks the big foundational questions. Why should we even pay attention to things like class or gender in a story? And criticism, that's the how. It takes that why and asks, okay, how does this specific book actually show us those ideas in action? Let's break that down even more. Theory is abstract, it's philosophical, it's what provides the lenses. Criticism, on the other hand, is concrete and practical. It's the act of using those lenses on a text. So theory asks a general question like, how should we read? While criticism asks a very specific one, how do we read this text? It's the foundation versus the application, the blueprint versus the actual building. So you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting for an English class, but why does this matter to me? And that's a great question, because this isn't just for academics, not at all. Understanding this relationship can actually transform the way you read everything. It turns reading from something passive into an active two-step process. First, you choose your theory, your lens, and here's the thing, you probably already do this without even knowing it. Are you always drawn to the psychology of the characters? Well, that's a psychoanalytic lens. And second, you perform the criticism. You actually look for the clues and the evidence in the text that supports what you're seeing. When it comes right down to it, knowing the difference between theory and criticism makes you a way more powerful, more intentional reader. You're not just letting a story wash over you anymore. You are actively engaging with it. You're in conversation with the author, asking your own questions, and uncovering all these amazing layers of meaning that were always there, just waiting for you to find them.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you pick up a book, doesn't matter if it's a classic you've been meaning to read or a brand new bestseller, just ask yourself, what am I looking for here? What lens am I going to use to see this world?